Let's have a look at how to get break-even or target profit in a multi-product environment. When you have a multi-product environment, we need to know what impact that particular product has to the total. And we use that based on sales volume. Here they give you the sales mix in percents, but they could give it to you in volume like here. So you would add those up and the total volume would be 40,000, of which 20,000 is beginner, which is 50% of the total. So you could convert them to percents and be able to move forward. So we want to get the weighted average contribution margin so that we can use it in the denominator of our break-even or target profit work. So what is the contribution margin for beginner? It would be the sales price minus the variable cost. Same thing for novice, sales price minus the variable cost. Sales price minus the variable cost. And they have very different contribution margins. So let's get the weighted average. So we take the contribution margin and times the weight, how big a footprint it has in the sales volume or sales mix of the company. And we would do that for all of them. And then we could add that up and get the weighted average contribution margin per unit. There's no unit that's actually at 42.50. So usually we're using percent. We're taking the contribution margin and divide it by the total sales of all the products. We would usually use that. We can figure the contribution margin, the break even in units. Mathematically, we could do that. It's not typical that anybody's interested in that because units of what, right? This is total units, but how many beginner, how many novice? And that usually is not too helpful. Usually we're doing it based on revenue, and we would use that contribution margin percent, weighted average contribution margin percent, and tell the team that's interested that we would have to sell about this, assuming this, giving the assumption that the sales mix stays at this level. For target profit, we would have to add that target in to the numerator. So we would add the 200,000 after-tax target, and we would have to divide that by 1 minus the tax rate to convert it to a before-tax number. And then we would do, we would go about that calculation and see what revenue would you need to be able to achieve, to cover the fixed cost and the target profit and the taxes on the target profit. So I hope that's helpful.